2003 GMC Yukon XL spark plugs and ignition wire replacement. I'm Brian Eslick from How To Automotive, and I'll walk you through that process. So to get started, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the ignition wires off, and they're all pretty much the same length, and so this coil goes to the spark plug, so you can't really mix them up. They're not crossed in any way. So what I do is I just go ahead and pop them off the coils first, and then we got to get the boot off the actual spark plug, and they like to adhere themselves, kind of like glue themselves on there. So you'll use a tool kind of like this. There's a different assortments of tools like this right here, so they clamp onto it, and you're going to give it a twisting motion, and then pull at the same time. And normally, like if you're going to reuse the wires, I would recommend not pulling from the actual wires itself. Pull from the boots itself. Also on the plugs down here, try not to pull from the wires, because what happens when you pull from the wires, they pull out of the boot like that, and they ruin the wires. And since I'm replacing it, I wanted to go ahead and demonstrate that. So this is what the boot's going to look like. It's going to have this little metal sleeve on it. So you're going to grip it and twist. And at the same time you get it twisting back and forth, you may even want to wiggle it up and down like this, and then pull the wire off the spark plug. So go ahead and remove all 8 of the ignition wires from the spark plugs and coils. I also found that the further in that you can grab towards the spark plug, the better it works, and so you just pull them out like that. To get the ignition wire on the inside, what I did was I put my pullers on there, and I gave the wire itself a good twist and kind of broke it free. And then what I did was I used a pry bar, and I put it against the manifold and my tool, like so, and I pry on it like that, and then that popped the wire off. So when you're doing the front cylinder, which on the driver's side, which happens to be cylinder number 2, right here is a coolant temp sensor, and your spark plug wire boot is here. So when you're pulling it out, be careful not to damage or hit the coolant temp sensor. And if you think it's in the way, you can go ahead and unplug it and take it out of your way while you're taking your spark plug boot out. Just remember to plug it back in after you're done. So now I'm going to start removing the spark plugs on the passenger side first, which is cylinder number 1, bank 1 I should say, and because this is cylinder number 1 here at the very front. And so the very last cylinder in this row is the hardest one to get to on this roll. So what my setup is going to be a standard 5/8 spark plug socket, and then a 1/2 inch extension. Now you can see it on there. Now you can get a just your standard 3/8 drive ratchet and crack it free. And then usually after you crack it free, you can usually take your hands on there and kind of spin them out. I don't like to use power tools when pulling spark plugs out, like air ratchets and stuff. You can pull the threads out of them. So on the next cylinder in, which happens to be cylinder 5, you can use pretty much the same cylinder as you did with, or setup as you did with cylinder 7 back here. So with a 1/2 inch extension. And as you get further out, if you choose to, if you want to, you can put longer extensions. You have a lot more room in here to work with your here. So on the driver's side here, the battery cable that goes down to the starter and stuff is right here. It's kind of in the way. So I'm going to use a setup like this, which is a 5/8 socket with a wobble built on it, and I'm going to put it on the spark plug here, and see the head of my extension is out here past the cable, and I'm going to go ahead and remove it. And then I'll switch back and forth between the standard 5/8 ratchet with a little extension to remove the rest of the spark plugs from the cylinders. And so that's what I do. It's just whatever's easiest. If you use, you'll change your extensions from short to long, short to long, short to long as you need them to take them out. So on my new spark plugs here, they come pre-gapped, so you shouldn't have to gap them. And So I'm gonna start with the hardest ones first. I'm gonna start in the back and work my way from the on the driver's side here. It doesn't matter which side you do. I'm gonna start on the driver's side and work my way back, and you just screw them in until they fit the snug up against the ridge here. And once you get them fully seated, then you can torque them down to 11 foot-pounds. And if you don't have a torque wrench, then just remember 11 foot-pounds is not very much torque on it. So it's going to be like a quarter turn. Like once you get it fill the spark plug is fully seated into the cylinder. It's going to be about a quarter turn more, and you have to do it by feel. But the recommended torque is 11 foot-pounds, and I use a torque wrench like this to do that. A cool little tip for putting the spark plugs back, getting started back into the cylinders, is to take a piece of 3/8 fuel line like that, and you can stuff it on the end of the socket. Then you can put it down into the hole, and you can twist it. So you can kind of just put it in there in the hole, and you can kind of feel it, and then you can just kind of twist the hose like this, and it'll flex in kind of ways, and it'll help, and it'll start the spark plug. Okay, now that we got our spark plugs installed, torqued down, we need to take the little metal boot that was on the old spark plug wires and transfer them over to the new ones. And when you order your spark plug wires, there's going to be two different wires, one a short one and a long one, depending on what model your car is. So you may even measure the actual wire itself, and when you order your parts, tell your parts supplier how long the wire is, and they can determine which wire you need. And so you're just going to slide these onto the boot, like so. Now what you can do is you can plug this end onto the coil, push it on, and then you want to hear hear it click, or you want to feel it click on, and then you can take this one at the same. You'll push it on the spark plug, kind of line it up where the electrode on the inside here is on the tip of the spark plug, and you push it on. You'll actually feel a little click. And you'll do that for all 8 of the spark plugs. Now that you got all your ignition wires back on, last step to do is clear the codes. If you had misfire codes or check engine light on for any reason, clear the codes and go for a test drive. And that's how you change the spark plugs on a 2003 Yukon XL. This one has the 5.3 liter engine. It'd be pretty much the same process for the 6 liter and the 4.8 liter. I'm Brian Eslick from How To Automotive, and as always, it's my pleasure sharing my experience with you guys. And I'd like to remind you to subscribe for more valuable videos like this, and thank you again.